Hey, y'all. Alrighty. So this little live is called Confessions of a CEO because, y'all, I'm stressed. I am stressed all the way out, but I'm so calm because I'm not actively stressed. I'm more so like there's a lot of stress happening right now, and so I wanted to share that because I feel like I share a lot when things are going really well in business, right? Like the other day I shared that we won that grant. We won a couple grants and like just, we're getting a lot of clients and things is going great and we're scaling. But shit is hitting the fan right now. Fan is hit. There's shit everywhere. And so I was like, let me come talk about it. All right. So what I'm doing while I'm talking is I've had these books and journals that I've had to mail out for like 2 weeks now, but I haven't gotten a chance between traveling. Shout outs to traveling. I went to Jamaica for a weekend, like 5 days, Thursday to Monday, and I just didn't get a chance to mail them out. And then before that we had a bunch of events and work, so I never got the chance to mail them out. So that's what I'm doing while I'm talking, because multitasking is ridiculous, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna do it. Just gotta make sure these books don't have any signatures. So, all right, boom, confessions, right? So let's start off with the fact that banking as a small business is ghetto. So I'll tell you a little story about, I'm not gonna use any names, maybe at a later date in time, but we have, or Business GSD Solutions, we're banked with a small bank, right? And the idea and the reason why we joined this small bank is because they're like, we support women-owned business, minority-owned business, we support startups, we want to grow with you, we're a new bank, we're going to grow with you, we're going to love and support you. So I'm like, okay, I like to support new technology, like I like to support new initiatives, new technologies, so let's work with this bank. So we started working on this with this bank back in 2020, and things were decent, right? They didn't offer a debit card because they were brand new. So I'm like, all right, how do we spend our money? And they're like, we work with this other service. Let's call this service Service A. I don't know. I don't want to name drop. So they're like, we work with Service A, and through Service A, you could get a debit card. I'm like, all right, cool. So we have access to our money. So we hit up Service A, and Service A is like, actually, it's not a debit card. It's actually a credit card. And we have to run your credit in order to get you this credit card. So they boom, bam, bam, run my credit. I'm like, I know I have terrible credit. So they run my credit, and they're like, actually, we're going to need to do a secured line. We could get you X amount of credit on this card, but you got to deposit like, I think it was like super low. It was like silly. It was like $500. They're like, we can give you $1,000 credit line, but you got to deposit $500. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. Let's do that. So we did that, got the credit line, started out slow, we spend, pay it off, spend, pay it off, because that's the only way we get access to our account, because that's the card. Great, right? So periodically now we request a credit line increase, because they're like, you can request a credit line increase, and, we do our review, we do our underwriting, and then we increase your credit line, aka the access that you have to your own bank account money. It's silly, but I'm just like, all right, yeah, supporting small businesses. Y'all are growing, learning. It's not that difficult. Is it annoying? Yes. Is it super hard? No. Whatever. Let's just do it. So we did that since 2020, and it worked. And slowly but surely, we increased the credit line. And then they're like, your credit's not great. Your business is growing great, but your personal credit, which I think is stupid, how your personal credit is so connected to your business credit. I'm just like, this business is doing great. Like, I made mistakes as a child, below 21 years old and early 20s. Like, I made these mistakes because I didn't have a context about credit, and that's why I did that workshop I did the other day, New Year, New Money. Because learning a lot of this stuff later on and making, especially as a business owner, has screwed me over so badly. Like, they're like, you can't, there's been grants I couldn't get because my credit was bad. There's been opportunities for business that I couldn't get because my credit is bad. And so I'm just like, all right, I've made it my mission to not only repair my credit and get like my stuff on track, but also help other entrepreneurs, because you don't think how impacted by your personal credit your business will be. Like, I feel like crap. Like, my business is doing great. My employees, my team is doing great. And then because of something that I did as a young adult, as a child, like, we can't grow the way we need to grow. Like, that sucks. Feels like crap. So, I definitely take accountability, and I'm trying to, I'm doing better. My credit score has gone up over 175 points, but it's still just not good enough. And long story short, there's also something that I'm co-signed on, so like that has also negatively impacted my credit. And that's another thing, like, knowing to not co-sign for stuff. You're thinking you're helping out people, but then again, these things come to bite you back in the butt. So it's like, we're getting all these grants, we're getting these opportunities, but then there's this like other huge roadblock in our way. So now, why am I stressed? So I explained the situation. Service A, they provide the credit line, and we slowly increased it. Then, out of nowhere, less than 48 hours ago, they sent an email saying, hey, we've done a review and we've decided to cut your credit line by 66%. We're going to cut your credit line to a third of what it was before. If you are a business owner, right, or if you're not a business owner, let me explain what that looks like. It's like saying, you have this access, you have 100% access to your funds, your own money that you're using and you're paying back. But we've decided we're going to take 2/3 of that. So, let me use these little papers. Actually, I have 3. This is your credit line. We're going to take away these and you're left with this. Figure it out. That does not work, because as a business, you have certain subscriptions, you have certain transactions that are charging on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And what happens when you charge something and it gets refunded or something like that? Then there's overdraft fees, there's late payments. So now they've cut our access to our own funds. I'm gonna say this once again, cut our access to our own funds by 2/3. And there's transactions happening that's getting us into a bind. And it's just like, yo, what is wrong with y'all? Like, I'm pretty sure everyone, has seen that, like, Ryan Coogler situation where he goes into the bank, he puts his debit card in, he puts his PIN in, he gives his ID, but somehow the teller calls the cops on him saying, because he put a note, he wants to be discreet. It's ridiculous. It's like, you're saying I can't have access to my own shit. Like, what are you telling me, baby? So that was not great. And, we reached out to them. We're like, hey, they're like, oh, you need to submit some documents. We're like, all right, boom, bam, bam. 20 minutes after they sent the email, documents are sent over. Less than half an hour later, we're calling them. Oh, this, we have to do our underwriting process. Or business or bank has changed and underwriting has updated. And I'm just like, so where are the emails? Where are the emails? Where's the communication to the business letting them know, hey, this is changing. We wanted to give you a heads up that it's changing so that you can know how to move in order to sustain your business. Because now you guys decided to make this dramatic move without any notifications. But when it's, oh, we've merged with this offer, this survey, stupid stuff that is not relevant to our business, emails coming out like this. But when it's relevant, one email. You just hit us up 2 weeks ago talking about, oh, we just got a new partnership. Would you like to use this new service? You can get a discount. What do you use? But when it's the important stuff, no email? What? So, that definitely, it gets stressful, because now it's like you as the business owner, your team is now scrambling, trying to figure out, okay, what next move do we make to make sure that our business is sustained, our customers are, getting the quality of service, and that distracts us from focusing on the day-to-day of what needs to happen. And now we're focusing on how can we solve this problem that came out of nowhere, that has now limited our access to our bank accounts because y'all wanted to change your underwriting with no notification. Like, I digress, right? This is little confessions of a CEO. So definitely that happened. And, I'm staying relatively calmer than I would this time last year, because I don't know, call it God, the universe, whatever it may be, everything happens for a reason. And I know last year around this time, you know, we were working with some clients and there were some delayed payments, net 60 timelines and payment lines, and your girl was stressing. Like last fall, I literally ended up in the ER for having a panic attack directly related to work. And I had never experienced, like I've had burnout before, but when I tell you I was just sitting down and my heart rate started, I'm like, what's happening? Like I'm working on the computer talking, just regular. I'm just like, just being at my chest. I'm like, what the hell is happening? I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was gonna pass out. I had to have my brother walk with me to the urgent care. No, to the emergency room actually, not the urgent care, to the emergency room. I'm just like, y'all, I don't know what happened. They're taking blood, they're doing tests. They're like, your blood pressure went up. This is directly anxiety related. Anxiety related. And that was just one of the incidents. Another incident also last year, directly related to finances, directly related to business growth and development, late payments from clients and stuff like that, is I was on a trip. I'm here trying to be superwoman, working while we're at the water park. Phone gets wet, water gets in the phone, and we are unable to, my phone breaks. That's what happened. My phone breaks. I'm not in New York, and I'm just like, all right, how am I gonna fix my phone? I'm on a trip, trying to relax. Shouldn't have been working in the first place. Phone breaks. Clients are still calling. I am answering my phone using my AirPods. I'm using the I didn't even have the AirPods at the time. I had just regular headphones. So because my screen is completely black, but I'm here answering calls with a black phone screen to service clients to make sure that they, you know, they're all good, because they started panicking a little bit about their event because their stakeholders were on their necks. So I'm here answering phone calls while I'm supposed to be on a getaway. Then I get back and I am so disoriented that I forget an event that we had. It was supposed to be scheduled for, I think it was like 4 a.m. because it was in a different time zone. Completely forgot. It wasn't a huge event, but I definitely completely forgot, and I didn't escalate and delegate it to the people on the team. And so client is mad. So this is a different client. This client now is upset. And I'm just like, Georgie, you have to slow down. And so I'm like, all right, take a deep breath, head to the Apple store, get a new phone, get some AirPods, put some warranty on the phone, Apple Care, all that good stuff. But then as soon as I fix the phone, while I'm at the Apple store, another client calls. So I'm taking this call at the Apple store. So it's just like client after client. Everyone's having their own fires. I'm having a fire. I'm trying to put out all the fires. My kids are at camp. I think it was summertime. And I leave the Apple store and I literally don't know where I'm at. I have no clue where I'm at. Like I just did, like it was on 96th Street in the city or whatever Upper East Side Apple store is. And I just look around. I'm like, I have no clue where I am right now. So I'm in the middle of the street, start bawling. And then because I had a new phone, it was still iPhone, but it was just like my contacts didn't upload. My email, like everything I had logged into my other phone didn't transfer fully yet, needed time. But like I just started freaking out because it's like everybody's having a fire. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm stressed. And I literally just started crying in the middle of Manhattan. Started bawling my eyes out. I couldn't tell the ceiling from the floor. I did not know where I was. Like, I have since been back to that location and I realized, like what happened, but couldn't tell where I was. Only number that I could think of to, call to feel safe. I called my mother. Like, I knew my mother's number from heart. I'm here crying in the middle of the city and I call my mom and she's just like, oh my God. She's like nervous. Like, is something wrong with the kids? Is something wrong with me? I'm just like, I don't know where I'm at. Everyone needs something right now. I don't know where I'm at. I have to pick up the kids soon from school. And I don't know. Like, I just don't know. So she, figures it out. I think they like looked at my location, or she's like, what are the physical things around you? And I called my brother called me an Uber. Got to my mom's. The Uber takes me to my mom's house. I get there. My mom's like, go take a shower. I'm like, what? I'm like, what's happening? So she's like, you need a shower, a nap, and a meal. And I'm like, a shower, a nap, and a meal? I'm crying in the middle of Manhattan. I don't need a shower, a nap, and a meal. I need I need to get back on my computer. I need to solve these problems. She's like, I'm taking your book bag. I'm taking your laptop. I'm taking your phone. You need a shower, a nap, and a meal. Right. So I'm like, this lady is crazy. I need to go home. Like, what's happening with everything? So, but I oblige. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna entertain her a little bit. So I go to the bathroom, take a shower, come back out. There's a meal on the table. She's like, you gotta eat the meal. I eat the meal, and she's like, all right, go lay down. I'm like, Mom, I'm an adult. Like, I am literally, at this time I was 26. I'm 27 now. I'm like, Mom, I'm an adult. Like, can I go home? Like, I'm good now. The shower helps. She's like, you need a shower, a nap, and a meal. You had your shower, you had your meal, you need a nap. Like, Mom, okay, I will take this nap. Whatever. I go take the nap. When I tell y'all, I woke up from that nap. Feeling like I hadn't slept in 30 days. Refreshed, ready to go. Things are clear. I know. Smooth, ready to go. And so, from those two experiences, the panic attack that brought me into the urgent care overnight, right before an emergency room, and breaking down, having another panic attack in the middle of Manhattan. Both these occurrences were directly related to financial and production stress with business. I'm like, I'm not stressing about nothing else. I'm not. So while this issue that I just mentioned, and if you're just joining the live, like, while this issue that I just mentioned is very pressing and annoying and silly, I'm like, this too shall pass. Because if I break down, if I lose my cool, if I lose my head, that looks like, top down. Everything is going to crumble. So I'm like, for some reason, every time, something crazy happens, something amazing follows it. So I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to take a deep breath, figure out what focus on what I can do. Like, I have a therapist, and that's what she always says, like, focus on what you can control. And honestly, this is out of my control. I sent the emails, we sent over the information. There are some backup plans that we have in motion, and it's going to work out. I've just committed to the idea that it's going to work out, and, I'm get shit done, queen. So no matter what, it's going to work out for me, for the team, for the business. And these companies may lose us as a client, but that's fine, because there's a better opportunity right around the corner that's about to present itself to us, and we just don't know it yet. So that's how I'm looking at it. And if it is a temporary setback, guess what? Setback is going to push us forward. I see somebody just asked a question. What is the biggest problem you have faced as a CEO? I just labeled 2 problems. Every day there's a different problem when you are a business owner, right? Whether it's employees, whether it's customers, whether it's transactions that you have to do, whether it's financial institutions and your banks acting crazy. I think it's not about the problem that happens. I think it's about how you react to it, right? Anything can happen overnight, as we've experienced with the pandemic, with the war, the global markets changing. Anything can happen right now and last for days, months, minutes. It could last for minutes, it could last for days, it could last for months or years. And I think what really it comes down to is saying, how am I going to respond to this, right? Am I going to let this stop everything that I'm doing, or am I going to let this, am I going to acknowledge that there's a problem, then write out or discuss out and talk through what are the possible scenarios or solutions to this problem? And then from there, which ones can you tackle right now? Is there something that's a lighter lift, sending an email, making a phone call, requesting information from somewhere or something, making, a deeper decision? Do those ones right now. Are there some decisions that are going to take a longer time? Start the first step and map out how long it's going to take. And you got to get back to it, because one part might be acting crazy, but guess what? The other parts of your business need you to be there running the business, right? And then on top of that, you're a CEO and you're a parent and you're, when you have additional things to do other than run your business, up here has to be on point. If you lose your head, your mind, you so many things could crumble overnight, instantly. And so, definitely, maybe this is a series I start or something, but I was just like, even creating this video, even going live, I was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't know what to say. What is the setup? I have the things to do. And I was even gonna cancel one of the calls I had with one of my colleagues. But I said no. I have to acknowledge the problem. Think of what solutions I could put in place, and I did. I was able to solve 2 problems that we had with transactions, right? Transactions that we had because they removed 2/3 of our credit line. So I was able to solve 2 of those, and I'm like, all right, these are the most pressing 2. Solve those 2. What am I gonna do next? I'm like, all right. The other day I talked about, we're getting this like grant, and we, being featured in these magazines. I'm like, I'm starting to sound like those people that I I don't want to sound like, where it's like I only talk about the good moments that happen in business, and I'm like, it's not all good. Things be crazy. It's wild in these streets, and people are like, oh, quit your job, become a business owner. Child, you're gonna be working at least 80 hours a week. You will be driven crazy, and you have to put in so many different things into place to keep your mental sanity, keep your emotional sanity, your physical sanity, right? There are so many things that I've had to do over these years of being a business owner. Like, I didn't start out like this. Like, when I say early days, I was a pushover and an emotional wreck. And through therapy, through, reading, through hard work, through trial and error, this is where I'm at now. And this is at least year 10 in my entrepreneurial journey, right? I've gotten that tougher skin, and I definitely know that some lessons, if I heard people talking about it earlier in my journey, it would have helped me out a lot more, right? So that's why I'm like, no, I gotta come on. I have to come on this live, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I have to share what's happening, because somebody out there is watching my profile, seeing me talk about all these wins, seeing me blog, seeing me do all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so great. She's doing no. Especially the new followers, the new people that are on my social media don't know Georgie 1.0. They don't know. They don't know, working 4 or 5 jobs. They don't know that. They don't know working Instacart, working, what's it called, TaskRabbit. They don't know that. They don't know that part. They don't know sleepless nights, bringing my kids everywhere that I went, to all my events, to all my programs, to meetings. They don't know that part. Wearing Alyssa my hoodies so people could recognize. They don't know that part. So I'm like, there's still crazy stuff happening in this part, and it's never not going to be crazy. And again, it's all about how you handle it, how you tackle it, and how, you be truthful to yourself and prioritizing your mental health, your self-care, and all of it. And I see I have some more comments here. I'm a co-founder too, and training my team. The biggest hurdle I'm facing at this time. So training your team is really about, creating a sense of unity. So every team is going to be different, but I say definitely creating a sense of unity and sharing that bigger vision, right? So have you labeled out what your core values are, what your missions are, as well as figuring out how people like to learn. So some people really like to learn by reading a book. They can read a book and then understand everything. Other people need to see it. Other people need to try it. So figuring out their learning styles is going to be the key thing that's going to help you in this process of training your team. And is it like tactical things, right? You have to have them like test it out and give people time. And I'll say this final thing before I jump off, because again, kids, mom life, I have to go to, they have a dentist appointment today. So, I could have let all of this drove me crazy, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna mail these books out. But the biggest thing that I've learned over the last 2 years, that I wish I had learned earlier in my entrepreneurial journey, is slowing down time. So back in the day, get shit done, queen. Like, this is my MO. I'm like, I could do it real fast. You can do it real fast, but should you do it real fast? Maybe not. So what I like to do is, like, if you think training is going to take 2 weeks, allot 4 weeks for training. At least double, because you need to leave room for error. And I think that's also one of the biggest things that has allowed me to keep calmer these days, when things go haywire, because I've left room for error. And when you leave room for error, when stuff goes crazy, or stuff goes not according to plan, it's like you have space to then adjust and pivot. Because if everything is all tight, you can't move anything. But if it's like, okay, I left some room for error, okay, we can move it around, shift things, and we have time, resources, and energy to make the changes when it is time to pivot. Because fires and crazy stuff is always gonna happen. I'm gonna keep saying this like 1,000 times. Get it in your head. Things will go wrong. How you respond to it is gonna be what sets it apart of like, is this real bad, or is this a little thing? Is a little thing. So with that being said, leave room for error. Leave that space there, whatever you're doing. So, if you think it's going to take 2 weeks to train the team, at least 3, at least 4 weeks allotted to it. So that way, if somebody gets sick or somebody's not learning at the right pace, you have time to make sure that whatever goals you're working with for your clients or your business growth, you can then use that extra time to pivot. And if everything works out in the 2 weeks, at least now you have another 2 weeks to practice and get better and do more things. So these have been my confessions of a CEO. So thank you for all tuning in. If you guys are watching the replay, definitely subscribe to my website, GSD with Georgie. Putting out a lot more content like this, focusing on the journey, talking about the things that I'm doing, as well as everyone could always check out my book, The Art of Getting Shit Done. And I will be back. Maybe this is something that I do more often. So this was nice. It was nice talking to you guys. Thank you so much for those who tuned in live and let some comments go. And folks that are tuning in and watching the replay, what has been driving you crazy? Maybe I could offer some advice and some feedback. And thank you guys. Later.